The great American race is approaching, but the first order of business, the best in the sport, have to duel it out. Drivers battling for prime spots in the highly anticipated Daytona 500. And for some, the stakes are higher. It's the final chance to qualify for NASCAR's crown jewel event. Hungry for the chance to etch their names into the record books and join the greats that emerge victorious. The Duel at Daytona.
Live on the Gaming Life YouTube channel, it's the NASCAR YouTube Cup Series. Tonight, it's the Duel in Daytona. Hello and good evening everybody from virtual Daytona International Speedway, where we're all set up to set the field for the great American race, the Daytona 500. Doing things a little bit different this year. Instead of the duel winners getting to start in row number 2, tonight a win will lock you into the front row, as the drivers in duel number 1 will compete for the odd numbered starting spots, and the drivers in duel number 2 will compete for the even numbered starting spots. When you're talking about the duel races in Daytona, there's one phrase that comes to mind: high risk, high reward. While we're certainly going to see some brave racing and some daring moves, you want to keep some of that racing in your back pocket and save this race car so you don't have to go to a backup for the Daytona 500. There's not many drivers in this field that have a super speedway resume quite like Ryan Blaney. Not only has he won a lot of races and photo finishes, but he's also running up front a lot during the race. And when you have something as chaotic as super speedway racing, being consistently at the front of the field is one of the best stats you can have. Blaney starts in the middle of the pack, but I expect him to be at the front of it when we see the white flag. There's one driver who's made starting on the front row of the Great American Race a hobby, and that's Alex Bowman. And while in the past he's been able to rely on his Hendrick Motorsports power plant to get him to the front of the field with single car speed, tonight he has to do it the hard way. And that's in a pack of 20 race cars at nearly 200 miles an hour. But I still think that Hendrick Motorsports power is enough to carry him to the front. There's one name that jumps off of this Duel 1 entry list, and that's Joey Logano. Few drivers are able to match his level of aggression on super speedways. And the few drivers that can keep up with him are probably going to be playing it safe tonight, which in years past has left the door wide open for Logano to take a duel win. I expect to see lots of big pushes and big blocks from the driver of the 22 car. Shifting our focus to the Duel 2 entry list, I feel like we gotta look at Daniel Suarez. The Mexican driver, hot off his exhibition win in the Battle of the Beach right here on the backstretch at Daytona, has given him a huge momentum boost heading into the rest of Speedweeks. I expect he and the Trackhouse team to keep that mojo going and have a strong showing here tonight. A little further back in the starting lineup order is Noah Gragson. While this is a new car and team surrounding him this season, Gragson is driving for one of the best manufacturers you can drive for on a super speedway, and that's the Ford camp. Not only is his car going to be strong, but he's going to have lots of teammates around him that are just as good or better. I expect Gragson to be in the mix all throughout Duel number 2. And finally, we look towards the back of the grid, where we'll not only find a Mustang dark horse, but a super speedway dark horse, and that's David Ragan. While it may not look good starting at the back of this field, that seems to be the way David likes to play it. He doesn't run up front all day, but when the chips are down and it matters the most, expect him to be right in your rearview mirror. Alright, now let's take a look at the keys to winning tonight's duel races. And key number 1 is going to be keeping all 4 corners on your race car. The last thing you want to do is go into the Great American Race with an untested and unproven backup car. Not to mention the huge loss of track position and track time. Of course, anytime you're on a super speedway, you have to wonder when and if the big one's gonna break out. You can't win the hardware tonight, but you sure can lose it. Key number 2 to winning tonight's duels is gonna be on pit road. The length of these races are set up in such a way that you're gonna have to make at least one pit stop to make it to the checkered flag. Now, whether that pit stop happens under green or yellow flag conditions, it won't change the severity of the pit stop, as a slow pit stop, especially under green flag conditions, could completely derail your race. And the third and final key to winning tonight's race is going to be taking lots of notes. Not only do you want your crew chief's notebook a little bit thicker going into the biggest race of the year, but you also want to take notes about your competition. What driver is going to have the fastest car? Who's going to be the biggest pusher? Who's the biggest blocker? These are all things you want to know by the end of your race tonight, so you have a better understanding of how the race is going to play out when we drop the green flag on Sunday. But before we get there, we got to set the starting lineup, and let's do that. Let's go trackside and get the command to get duel number 1 underway.
Please welcome Grand Marshal, the Senior Vice President of Marketing and Advertising for Lowe's, Mr. Bob Gefuller, for the most famous words in motorsports.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
The command has been given. Let's crank them up.
Here's the starting lineup for duel race number 1. John Nemechek starts in the first spot with Austin Dillon to his right side. Row number 2, it's Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Carson Bosevard. Rounding out the top 5 is Austin Cindric with Michael McDowell right next to him in 6th. The 7th and 8th positions will be occupied by Anthony Alfredo and Jimmy Johnson, while Ryan Blaney and Eric Jones round out the top 10. Second half of the field, and starting in 11th, it's Harrison Burton with Denny Hamlin in 12th. 13th, it's Joey Logano, and 14th, it's Alex Bowman. 15th and 16th are occupied by Kaz Grala and William Byron, while the 17th and 18th spot are occupied by Justin Haley and Chris Buescher. And finally, row number 10, it's Kyle Busch and Shane Van Gisbergen. Just a quick look at the race info before we drop the green flag here. 16 laps is the race distance. Full take of fuel is about 10 laps, so I'd see the fuel window open up at about lap 6 or 7, but I don't think we'll see drivers hit pit road until laps 8 or 9. Regardless, either way, when these drivers come down pit road, they are going to need to make one stop. Whether they split this race in half or try to go long, maybe put a little bit less fuel in the race car, is going to be up to the crew chiefs to make that call. Pace car dives onto the pit road. We look towards the starter stand. The green flag is waving and duel number 1 is underway in Daytona. Off of turn number 4, an aggressive first lap by Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He's going to go from 3rd to the lead. He's going to lead lap 1, but on his inside, it's Austin Cindric getting a big push from Anthony Alfredo. Look at this, 3 wide, about 6 or 7 rows deep. Only 16 laps in this race, not a lot of time, and we're already seeing that aggression level get very high very quickly. Down the back stretch, Cindric on the outside, Alfredo with a push from Logano on the bottom. The inside lane really moving on this on these opening laps. You see the middle lane just a little disjointed. The outside lane looks like it has enough cars in it. They just don't seem to have the momentum moving forward just yet. Alfredo went up high, then tried to come back down low to block Logano. That didn't work. Logano to the inside. They're side by side for the lead through 1 and 2. Logano getting pushed to the lead from Haley, but Haley muscles him up the racetrack, and now Haley is on the inside. He's going to have the advantage with a big push from Kyle Busch as they go way down the racetrack. And they're going to come back up the track and they're going to collect more. That's Buescher, Johnson, Burton, Cindric, Bowman, McDowell. A whole bunch of cars get collected there. Caution's going to come out on lap number 3. This happened about 3 or 4 rows behind the leader. We take a look at the replay. Watch the replay here, a big push. No, it's just a little side draft going wrong there from Jonathan Nemechek to the side of Cindric. Gets into Buescher, and then they come back up the track. McDowell takes a hit. Cindric collects Bowman. Hamlin gets involved in this. Hocevar, Burton, Johnson, all involved as Buescher came back up the track. Yeah, John Hunter just came up the track, kind of in that middle line. That middle line was going backwards very quickly. Went for the side draft, it did not work. Got into Cindric there and just kick-started all of that. It went from the bottom of the track all the way to the top. Byron, Blaney, it looked like Jones. Very, very fortunate to squeak by that on the bottom of the racetrack. That could have been way, way worse, I guess. I mean, that was a lot of cars. Very quickly just wiped out right there. Pit road is open. Everybody is going to be coming down pit road. This is on lap number 4, coming to lap 5. I don't think they can make it to the end of this race, though, without another caution or a lot of fuel saving. Haley, Logano, the lead 2 as they come in. Watching the stops here. There looks to be 4 tire stops across the board. And they're going to pack these cars full of fuel. Again, they're going to try and make it to the end of the race from here. This is going to be difficult. This is going to be tough. Gralla wins the race off a pit. No, Logano. Logano way ahead. Then Gralla, Stenhouse, Haley, and then Van Gisbergen in the top 5 that come off the pit road. And now Van Gisbergen has got damage to the nose of his car. He's coming back in. What in the world happened here? Gonna get a replay here. This is coming off a pit road. Oh, there's a stack up behind the pace car. A small stack up there behind the pace cars. Everybody was speeding off a pit road. Oh no, Stenhouse! Stenhouse got sideways under caution. And Van Gisbergen had nowhere to go. Oh my gosh, let's take a look at this again, because I don't know what happened to Stenhouse to get him sideways like that. What in the world? Did he just get on the gas too hard? Oh no, it's contact there with Haley. Haley does not come up to speed as much as Stenhouse thought he was going to. He gets sideways, and then Van Gisbergen collects, or gets involved, and Alfredo also made some contact, but not severe. Not as severe as the damage to the nose of the Van Gisbergen car. Lights are off on the pace car. This is going to be lap 7 of 16. It'll be 8. We'll be at the halfway point of the race when we go back green. The revised top 5 now, as it stands: Logano, Casgrala, Stenhouse, Haley, and Anthony Alfredo. That is the revised top 5. There are 13 cars still on the lead lap. Buscher and Cindric are still in the race, according to timing and scoring here, but they are a lap down. They will need a caution to get back on the lead lap, but again, they do still have damage. The rest of... Let's just do a full field rundown here. Logano, Gralla, Stenhouse, Haley, and Alfredo the top 5. Busch, Byron, Dillon, Blaney, and Jones the top 10. Then Hamlin, Nemechek, and Van Gisbergen. Those are the 13 cars still on the lead lap. Van Gisbergen, of course, with damage. Don't know if he's going to be able to keep up with the lead draft and stay up with the front pack. The next 2 cars are a lap down. That is Buscher and Cindric. That's 14th and 15th on the racetrack. They are a lap down. And then the next 4 cars are out of the race: Hocevar, Burton, McDowell, Johnson, and Bowman. Those last 4 cars are out of the race, and they will be starting towards the back of the field for the Daytona 500. The field is lined up 2 by 2 once again. The pace car dives onto pit road, into the restart zone. Green flag is in the air. Here we go once again in Daytona. And now the question becomes, can these drivers make it to the end of the race on fuel? Side by side at turn number 1, a couple of dark horse Ford Mustangs, Logano and Gralla. Watching behind to see where those pushes come from, whether it's from Haley or Stenhouse. Logano is the one who's going to surge ahead, but he can't quite complete the block on Gralla, and Stenhouse is a ways back behind him. He's kind of on his own. Oh, look at that move by Haley from the top to the bottom, leaving his Rick Ware teammate out to dry. That's going to drop the outside lane backwards and push Logano to the front, but here comes Haley to the bottom. Haley not wasting any time trying to get to the front of this field. And Logano trying to maintain the gap. This rides up top. Now he's going to try to go to the bottom and throw the block. He's clear for the moment. He's going to maintain the lead. They're 2 by 2, about 4 rows deep behind Logano. And you see Jones back there. He's losing the draft. And there's one more car behind him. That, I'm not sure if that's Nemechek or who that is. But they are losing the draft pretty quick. Front 2, single file, side by side behind that. And then a little 3-wide action further back. Austin Dillon way on the bottom. Blaney in the middle, and that's Alfredo with the extreme outside line, but no drafting help. He is going to the back of this pack. Rick cars side by side once again at the front of the field. Gralla shooting ahead to second. Haley drops back in third. Oh, but Gralla makes quick work of Logano to the bottom of the racetrack. Doesn't have immediate drafting help, but his help is coming. And it's in the form of his teammate Haley. Side by side for the lead. Haley, the interested spectator, in third. It's going to pay off. They're going to push each other to the front. Rick Ware Racing now to the lead. How long will they stay that way is unclear. Blaney now way to the bottom. Puts Austin Dillon in the middle of a three-wide sandwich. Logano and Kyle Busch up on the outside, maybe trying to get a little two-car tandem action going. As Rick Ware still controlling this race down the backstretch. The top four are all Ford Mustangs. A couple of Chevrolets behind that, and their RCR teammates, Kyle Busch, Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon surging ahead on the inside line. Gralla continuing to just manage the field and manage these two lines behind him. And he's got a pretty sizable gap. Couple of car lengths. Blaney, though, surging on the bottom with a huge burst of momentum. Blaney to the inside, getting a push from Austin Dillon and Alfredo. And it's Nemechek coming back to the front. Side by side, leaning on each other. Oh, into the wall! Blaney throws a bad block. He's in the wall. On Gralla's involved. Austin Dillon hits the wall. Nemechek's in the wall. Oh my goodness. A huge and terrible block by Blaney, if I'm being completely honest. We're going to wipe out another about half a dozen race cars. And we're going to send this duel into overtime. Oh my gosh. We got to take a look at the replay and see what happened here. I mean, watch it here, you see Gralla's all by himself. And, I mean, you'd think he's going to be going backwards pretty fast. Big push is coming. Staggering here. Oh, man, Austin Dillon, man. Blaney just was not clear at all. Austin Dillon gets turned by Alfredo trying to miss it. He hits Nemechek. Nemechek slams the wall. Hard hit to the rear by Austin Dillon. Oh my gosh, Jones just missed that. As Austin Dillon was coming back down the racetrack. Wow, that was so close. And then Hamlin and Buescher just missed it as well. You can't really excuse that. Just a horrible, horrible block coming down the backstretch. A few laps to go at that point. 5 laps to go. The intensity had definitely ramped up, and I didn't expect, we saw Gralla. I guess Gralla was blocking the field pretty aggressively. Blaney had a great burst of speed going into turn 1, took the run, and then just threw that block and wiped not just himself out, but about 3 or 4 more cars with him. So now a revised look at the running order. as it stands here under caution, coming to 2 laps to go in a scheduled distance. Nemechek has gotten back to the lead. Logano is second, Byron is third, Alfredo fourth, and Stenhouse round out the top 5. Haley, Busch, Jones, and Hamlin, and then Gralla. That's the top 10. And then you have Van Gisbergen in 11th. That is the last car on the lead lap. 11 cars still in contention to fight for pole for the Daytona 500 here in duel number 1. The next 4 cars, are a lap down. Buescher, Cindric, Dillon, and then again the last 4 cars on this list are DNF, out of the race, Hocevar, Burton, McDowell, Johnson, and Bowman. There's 5 cars. So, well, the caution, I think, would have helped these guys make it to the end of the race on fuel. And now we're going into overtime, so now we're going into extended distance to get this race ended. So this is interesting. I think we're okay in terms of fuel, but I wouldn't completely just throw that away. I definitely keep that in the memory bank, depending on how this unfolds. Just need 2 green flag laps to make this happen. And really still some big contenders here. Logano, Byron, Busch, Jones, Hamlin. Any of these guys, I feel like with 2 to go, it's going to be go time, and these guys are going to manage to find their way at the front of this field. But there's also some spoilers, looking for Alfredo, Haley, and Gralla, and Van Gisbergen still in the lead lap. Rick Ware, ran 1-2 there for a good chunk of this race. They could find themselves back up in contention and making something happen here at the very end. There we go, lights are out on the pace car. We're going to go green next time by. Nobody pit under that caution. I was a little surprised. I thought they might come in, top up on fuel, and make sure they've got enough gas to make it to the end of this race, which is now going to go a couple laps beyond distance. We're on lap 16 right now. That was the scheduled distance. If we can get to the end on this first overtime attempt, we will be going to lap 18 now. And I guess while we've got a chance, let's take a look at the overtime rules. Overtime, it's a green-white checkered dash, 2 laps. If a caution comes out before the leader can take the white flag, we will have another overtime attempt to try and finish the race. We have unlimited overtime attempts to get the race in under green. If the leader makes it to the white flag, the race is official, and we will race back to the checkered flag. You've just got to get to the white flag, make this race official, and then get back around. So I think if you're the leader, obviously I think you want to get to that white flag, you want this race to be official, and then settle it amongst yourselves, however many of you there are really in contention to fight for the win. Field comes off at turn number 4. Pace car. There it goes. It dives on a pit road. We're coming back to the restart zone. Green flag is in the air, and overtime in duel number 1 is underway. Byron pushing Nemechek. Alfredo pushing Logano. It's pretty even, the front 4. Top 6 even. The front 6 cars still 2 by 2. Logano surging out ahead. Got a nice shove from Alfredo. He's going to have the lead as they come down the backstretch. And I think we already seen some cars there coming and slowing there off of turn number 2, but it's single file now at the front of the field as Alfredo's dropping back. Alfredo might be out of fuel. Alfredo's out of gas. The leaders might be out of gas. Huge run by Busch. Here comes Busch around the outside. Busch around the outside of Nemechek. White flag. 1 lap to go. Logano and Alfredo are coming to pit road. They did not have enough gas to make it back. And now they're slowing. Nemechek and Busch are slowing. Is Austin Dillon now the one in position? In third, Eric Jones coming off the track. Austin Dillon takes the lead, but does he have enough fuel to come back around? I'm looking further back here to see who is even in contention here. There's almost nobody. All Austin Dillon needs to do right now is coast back to coast back to the line. Timing and scoring right now is still showing the 8 as the leader. I think Austin Dillon might be a lap down here. So we're defaulting the lead now back to Stenhouse. Stenhouse is the leader. Blaney is in second, I believe. They're coming to pit road. Is that Logano coming? Logano! I think Logano's gonna win the duel! Stenhouse was coming to pit road. Timing and scoring, yes! Logano has won the first duel! Alfredo is second. Stenhouse is coming in third. Timing and scoring is still shaking this out. Oh my gosh. Logano comes to pit road, coming to the white flag, and has enough time to get back onto the racetrack and take the lead from Stenhouse as he was coasting to pit road. You've got to be kidding. Oh my gosh. Again, I haven't really referenced time and scoring. We're still figuring this out. Logano is the winner. Alfredo is second. Those two were up front. They pit coming to the white, and they got it, and they got fuel, and they came back around to take the win. I believe Stenhouse is third. Byron is fourth. Gorala is fifth. Then you have Haley, Nemechek, Hamlin, Van Gisbergen, and Kyle Busch, the top 10. Oh my goodness. I guess we gotta watch Logano here. I can't believe he managed to pit for fuel and then come back around to take the win. This was such a jumbled up restart as drivers were running out of gas, and wow, I mean, we had a couple of drivers there that ran out earlier and were able to come to pit road and not lose that much time. Because if you were Stenhouse, if you were Kyle Busch, those guys in Nemechek, they ran out of gas almost immediately. They ran out of gas almost right past the start-finish line. So here comes Logano off of pit road. He's back on the button. He's got a decent gap back to Alfredo. And he is just on the button here all the way for this lap, pretty much like you're doing a qualifying lap. You're just kind of trying to come up to speed. Oh my goodness. That was wild. Come to 3 and 4, he passes Jones, Kyle Busch and Nemechek. And then here's the pass on Blaney, and then here they come to the line. That pass is made just a couple of seconds before Logano gets to the line. That is unbelievable. Wow. Logano, he is on pole, he wins the duel, and he's on pole for the Great American Race, the Daytona 500. Holy cow, that was an unbelievable set of circumstances and final 2 laps. And folks, that was just duel number 1. We've got another duel, another 19 cars, and another 16 laps to decide the rest of the Daytona 500 starting lineup. Don't go anywhere. Duel number 2 is next.
It's called the birthplace of speed. Back then, it was the hard-packed sand that allowed for records to be broken. Today, it's the high banks and long straightaways. Not to mention, it's the dream of every driver and fan, offering a moment of glory that will extend well beyond 500 miles for years to come. We're still talking about the first one, and guarantee we'll be talking about this one. Here's to the great American race that can only be the Daytona 500.
In a world where digital games are becoming the norm, it seems like a game can be wiped out of existence overnight. But digging these games back up is what I do. Sometimes the challenge isn't in the game. Sometimes the challenge is finding the game itself. This is Delisted.
An iconic venue where stars rise and competition's flame burns bright, where past greatness collides with horsepower. NASCAR's biggest names, America's greatest stadium, an event made for Los Angeles, and a coliseum built for legends.
Every Monday on the Gaming Life YouTube channel, we'll pit 2 video games against each other to see which is better. But here's the twist. The choice is yours. Cast your vote for which game you think is better on the polls right here on YouTube or even on Twitter. Voice your opinion on social media using the hashtag Battle of the Week. It's Battle of the Week every Monday only on the Gaming Life YouTube channel.
Here in Daytona, the regular season finale, 2 spots remain in the playoff grid.
Here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, every time we have the racing here, it is intense.
Once again, they'll be racing here in May in Indianapolis at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
We're into our race broadcast. 61 cars have rolled out of the pit lane.
We're here in Silverstone for the 10th race of the F1 season. It's the British Grand Prix.
Fans, he's here to say the most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome Blue Green Vacations Chief Financial Officer and Chief Operating Officer Ray Lopez, accompanied by his daughter Lily and friend Gabe.
Drivers, start your engines!
The command has been given. Let's crank them up.
Cars in total here in duel number 2. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. Bo Wallace and Kyle Larson make up row number 1, with Martin Truex Jr. and Brad Keselowski in row number 2. In the 5th spot, it's the Battle at the Beach winner, Daniel Suarez. And in the 6th spot, it's Chase Briscoe. Row number 4 is Christopher Bell and Zane Smith, while row number 5 and rounding out the top 10, it's Tyler Reddick and Josh Berry. Noah Gragson and Ty Gibbs make up the 11th and 12th positions, while Ross Chastain and Ryan Preece make up 13 and 14. Corey LaJoie and Todd Gilliland are in 15th and 16th, with Daniel Hemrick and David Reagan in 17th and 18th. And last but certainly not least, in 19th, it's Chase Elliott. Our race info is the same for duel number 2 as it was in duel number 1. 16 laps to race distance, at least the scheduled race distance I should say. Fuel window, fuel gap is about 9 to 10 laps. We expect to see those drivers pit anytime between laps 6 and 9. But that's of course assuming this race stays green. That certainly was not the case in duel number 1. But we'll see what happens here as they come off turn 4. Alright, we know Logano is going to start the Great American Race on pole, but who will join him on the front row? Green flag is in the air. Duel number 2 is underway in Daytona. Close quarters racing off of turn 4. Bubba Wallace led him to the green, but it looks like it's going to be Martin Truex Jr. who's going to lead lap 1. Christopher Bell on the bottom. He's looking to take the lead with a push from Chase Briscoe back to 1. Oh, look at that, that's 4 wide. 4 wide in the middle of the pack there. Brad Keselowski and Noah Gragson leaning on each other off of turn number 2. Chase Elliott, who started last, he's already up about 4 or 5 spots on the bottom of the racetrack. Bell to the lead, 3 wide behind him. LaJoie on the bottom of the racetrack. He's on the march. Look at this, 3 wide, about 4 or 5 rows deep off of 4. Well, if the first duel was the aggressive one, this one maybe even more so. They're still 3 wide with the 3rd position on back through the tri-oval. LaJoie to the 2nd spot. He's going to try and make a run on Bell, but Bell throws the block in 1. Oh, but it wasn't good enough. Here he comes to the bottom. And here comes Chase Elliott off of turn 2. He started last. He's up to 3rd. Side by side for the lead. And here comes Chase Elliott and Noah Gragson. LaJoie up the track, Gragson to the bottom, getting a push from Daniel Hemrick. Side by side for the lead. Who's going to lead this lap? It's going to be Noah Gragson, just a nose. 2 by 2, about 3 rows deep, and then 3 wide the rest of the way through the field. Gragson up the track. Opens up the door for Hemrick on the bottom. Ty Gibbs and Bubba Wallace right behind Hemrick. Going to give him a shove and push him to the lead. Tyler Reddick dropping out of line. Suarez there as well, but he stays in the middle. Oh, they're squeezing each other back there, not giving each other any room to breathe. Hemrick trying to control all the lanes. He drops in front of Ty Gibbs through the tri-oval. So hard to predict where the momentum is going to come from or where those runs are going to come. but it's reliably been from the bottom. Ty Gibbs with really nobody on his back bumper. Ty Gibbs to the lead off turn 2. And that's put Tyler Reddick now in the catbird seat on the bottom. They're going to stay side by side for second. Tyler Reddick surging ahead. Side by side for third, and then 3 wide behind that. That middle lane, though, has only got a couple of cars in it. It's basically just Suarez and David Reagan in there. The outside line looks to have a lot of cars in it, but again, the momentum just isn't shifting towards in their advantage, in their favor. As they remain side by side for second, Tyler Reddick on the outside, 3 wide now as a couple of Stewart-Haas cars surge ahead. Barry and Briscoe now chasing Ty Gibbs for the lead. Big run there by Briscoe. He got up behind Gibbs to continue to try and get a slipstream there. Didn't really quite pay off because here comes Gilliland on the bottom. Trying to take that spot away. He's going to do so. Chase Briscoe has no help there off the 4. They're going to come back to the line, complete lap 6. The fuel window to make to the end of the race is officially open. We can see cars on pit road any lap now. Leaning on each other, opened up the door on the bottom. Another Stewart-Haas Ford, Ryan Preece, surging ahead. And that's the WeatherTech car of Zane Smith with Larson in tow. All 3 of those cars pretty much got by, as a huge side draft by Gilliland on Gibbs has just dropped them way back into the midfield. Side by side again for the lead. Now it's Saint Smith going to the front. Does anybody come off of pit road this lap? No, everybody stays on the track. Zane Smith from the middle to the bottom to block an onrushing Suarez. Back up to block Larson. Back into turtle way up high to block Larson. Now drops back to the middle for Suarez. Here comes Keselowski on the bottom. Huge 2-car tandem with Truex pushing him. He's right there off of turn 2. What a surge from Brian Keselowski. Oh, and Suarez. Suarez gets turned. Oh, multiple cars involved. Bell, Preece, LaJoy, and several others get involved in the outside wall as they slam into the banking, and they're going to bring out the caution on lap number 8, right at the midway point of the race. Josh Berry may have been involved. Briscoe may have been involved. Chase Elliott may have been involved as... Yes, Chase Elliott, big damage to the nose of the Chase Elliott car. That all started down the backstretch, right outside, I'd say, the top 5 cars. And Suarez, who was looking to maybe sweep Speedweeks, his night comes to an abrupt end on the backstretch and into turn number 3. Let's take a look at the replay. Alright, coming down the backstretch. Suarez is in the 5th spot, in the middle. Oh, there's contact from Preece, Gibbs. They got together. Oh, hard into the wall goes Preece. Sideways, Bell gets clipped. He had nowhere to go. Bubba somehow slips through that. But Gilliland, Chase Elliott, LaJoy, Briscoe, and I think Barry checks up enough to miss the whole thing. Really impressive save by Christopher Bell to somehow gather that car back up. Taking a look at this again. Looks like Ty Gibbs is kind of coming up the track, squeezing Priest, and they just get together. They kind of lock wheels. They come down the track and just manage to clip Suarez. And when that happens, he comes back up the track, slams the wall, and then pretty much anybody on the outside line has nowhere to go. Pretty much, I mean, this blocks the whole track. Somehow Bubba squeaks by on the outside before again they slide up the track and close that off. Very little give and a lot of take there. Coming down the backstretch, going to bring out the caution yet again. This certainly is unfortunate, but this does line up really well with pit stops. Everybody's going to be able to split this race in half pretty much and make this a run to the end. Everybody on pit road, Zane Smith, Keselowski, Truex, Larson, and Reddick, the top 5 coming onto pit road. Let's see how they come off of pit road. Solid stall, a slow stop for Zane Smith. That's going to get Keselowski off pit road first. Tyler Reddick is going to come off of second. Then Ty Gibbs, David Reagan, and Ross Chastain, the top 5 coming off of pit road. So a big shuffle up here on the pit stops, and we're going to get this race restarted with probably about 5 laps to go. Well, we're going to get this wreck cleaned up on the backstretch and through turn number 3. We're going to get all that cleaned up. And we're going to have a restart with less than 5 to go in duel number 2. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
It's called the birthplace of speed. Back then, it was the hard-packed sand that allowed for records to be broken. Today, it's the high banks and long straightaways. Not to mention, it's the dream of every driver and fan, offering a moment of glory that will extend well beyond 500 miles for years to come. We're still talking about the first one, and guarantee we'll be talking about this one. Here's to the great American race that can only be the Daytona 500.
In a world where digital games are becoming the norm, it seems like a game can be wiped out of existence overnight. But digging these games back up is what I do. Sometimes the challenge isn't in the game. Sometimes the challenge is finding the game itself. This is Delisted. Since the release of Need for Speed No Limits, we've not seen another mobile Need for Speed game of any kind. So here's a timeline showing every Need for Speed game that's been released on mobile to the recording of this video. From about 2008 to 2012, EA was releasing mobile games alongside their console titles, except for one. the cinematic style Need for Speed The Run. And believe it or not, we were actually all pretty close to getting a mobile version of Need for Speed The Run. Boss cars. They're something of a staple in the CSR racing series. I'm going to talk about a very interesting set of boss cars. Boss cars that cannot be obtained or unlocked by any event or action in the game. This is the strange case of the Altai boss cars in CSR 2. Alrighty, here we go. It's going to be a 4-lap sprint to decide who is going to join Joey Logano on the front row for the Daytona 500. Brad Keselowski, Tyler Reddick, Ty Gibbs, David Ragan, and Bubba Wallace. That's the top 5. Chastain, Truex, Bell, Smith, and Gregson is the top 10. 17 cars are still on the track and still in the lead lap. Suarez is a lap down, and Chase Elliott is out of the race. Here we go, pace car, onto pit road. Field is into the restart zone. We've got the green flag. Here we go. 4 laps to go in Daytona. Pretty decent start. Bubba Wallace dropping out of line pretty quickly. Got a good restart. They're going to be 3 wide behind the leaders. So it's going to be a little interesting here. Where's the momentum come? It's going to be for Keselowski. Keselowski surging to the lead. Oh, into the hard. Bubba's upside down. Bubba Wallace barrel rolling down the backstretch. They were squeezing each other off of turn 2, and Bubba is now sliding down the backstretch upside down. And this race is going to go into overtime. Oh my goodness. A big squeeze there right behind Keselowski as they were coming off of turn number 2 and still coming up to speed. Bubba Wallace is involved. Tyler Reddick is involved. David Ragan, Suarez, Priest, LaJoy, Gilliland. About half of the field has been wiped out. Oh my gosh, we didn't even get up to speed. And we've wiped out about half the field. Big, big wreck. Bubba Wallace barrel rolling down the backstretch. Holy cow. Let's take a look at the replay. Let's just take a look here at the restart pretty much in its entirety here. Bubba got a great restart. He's got a great run on Gibbs. And instead of pushing Gibbs, he goes to the inside. So he forces a 3-wide issue there with Gibbs and Reagan. So they come into turn number 2. Bubba kind of slides up the track. I don't know if he even really realized they were 3 wide. And then they got into the wall hard. And holy, look at that car go. Unfortunately, that car does not come to a rest right side up. That car comes to a rest upside down on its lid. So take a look at this again. Slow down, kind of see what happens here. A little bit of a squeeze to Gibbs, gets into Reddick. Hit the wall, and that just launches Bubba's car onto its side. Zane Smith gets by. Josh Berry gets by. Briscoe, Hemrick, Chastain, Bell, Larson. It's easier to tell you who wasn't involved, I guess, because here comes everybody else piling hard hits to LaJoy, Suarez, Priest. Those cars were coming in at a very high rate of speed. At least 7 cars involved, maybe more. And this was not in the middle of the pack. This was the battle for second, coming off of turn 2. Wow. So as we run around here under caution, let's take a look at the current running order. Tell you who's still in this race, who is running where. As it stands, 12 cars on the lead lap. Keselowski, Zane Smith, Josh Berry, Truex, and Hemrick, they are the top 5. Larson, Gregson, Briscoe, and Bell, and Gibbs, they are the top 10. David Reagan in 11th, and then Chastain in 12th. Those are the cars still in the race, and still on the lead lap. Reddick, the next, everybody else beyond this point is out of the race, D and F. Tyler Reddick, Corey LaJoy, Daniel Suarez, Ryan Priest, Todd Gilliland, Bubba Wallace, and Chase Elliott. They are out of the race, and they will be starting the Daytona 500 in a backup car and at the rear of the field. Chastain coming back to pit road. Again, he's already last. Might as well top up on fuel. As we get the 1-to-go signal, we're going to go green. Next time by, it's going to be overtime once again. Overtime, green-white checker, 2-lap sprint to the end. If the caution comes out, Before we get the white flag, we will re-rack them and run it again. We have unlimited overtime attempts to get this race in. If the leader takes the white flag and a crash happens, we will race back to the line. The race is official, and we will race back to the checkered flag. I feel like after the first duel, I have to bring this up. You've got to wonder about the fuel situation. Chastain has been the only driver who has pit now twice under this yellow. Not sure if he is trying to log laps here, or if he has maybe got a problem. But nobody else besides Chastain is pit under this yellow. You've got to wonder about the fuel. Do these drivers have enough fuel to get to the end? As it stands, they did pit later than the first duel. I think the first duel pit around lap 5. These drivers pit around lap 9. So on paper, we should be good to go to the end of this race. But you never know. You start going beyond that scheduled distance, and even under caution, you're still using fuel. Big question marks. Big question marks here. As we have got 12 cars still in this race, and on the lead lap, in a position to start alongside Joey Logano on the front row for the Daytona 500. Pace car is back on pit road. Leaders are into the restart zone. Here we go. Green flag, overtime, and duel number 2 is underway. Oh, the outside line, very organized. Zane Smith with a push from Truex. Truex right on his back bumper. Here comes Barry to the back bumper of Keselowski. 3 wide behind them. Keselowski surges to the lead by just a nose, but he's got the advantage here. This momentum, as they build momentum and they build speed down the backstretch. This is so important. Barry just buried underneath the back bumper of Keselowski. 3 wide now for the second spot. Look at this move from Gragson. Gragson with a strong run as Keselowski's going to try and throw the block. Here they come off turn 4. Keselowski can't throw the block. White flag. 1 lap to go in duel number 2. Keselowski in the middle. Gragson on the bottom. No immediate help to the Gragson car. Keselowski has got Josh Berry still right underneath his rear diffuser. Looking towards the bottom, Hemrick, Briscoe, Larson, all of them here pushing and shoving down the backstretch for the final time. Gragson clear to the lead, up to block Keselowski. Now back to the bottom to block the onrushing 31 car of Daniel Hemrick. Hemrick is there. He's right on his back bumper. He's right on his quarter panel. Oh, he almost turns him. Here they come. Off turn 4, into the tri-oval. Will it be Gragson? Will it be Hemrick at the line? It's Gragson! Gragson wins duel number 2. A clean run to the checkered flag. Didn't have an accident. Everybody minded their P's and Q's in the top 10. And it's Noah Gragson, who made a really nice 3-wide move to the bottom of the racetrack. Got the pass made, got around Keselowski, and then held off a hard-charging Daniel Hemrick. He is going to win duel number 2, and he is going to start right alongside Joey Logano on the front row for the Daytona 500. Neither one of these duels were short on drama and action. And I don't know about you, viewer, but I'm ready for 39 cars to take to this track for the Daytona 500. Who knows what we're going to see then? This might have been a duel race, but you wouldn't have known it. So much aggressive racing. From lap 1 to the end of the race, neither one of our duels ended in regulation. They both went into overtime to decide it. Fuel drama in duel 1, and we had all kinds of carnage in duel number 2. Let's take a look, not at the finishing results, but let's take a look at the combined results for Duel 1 and Duel 2 and how that's going to stack up for the starting lineup for the Daytona 500. Joey Logano will start the Daytona 500 on pole with his win in Duel number 1. Noah Gragson will start second with his win in Duel number 2. The runner-up drivers will be in row number 2, Anthony Alfredo and Daniel Hemrick. Row number 3, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Chase Briscoe. Row number 4, William Byron and Brad Keselowski. And row number 5 will have Kaz Grala and Kyle Larson. A strong performance by Justin Haley will have him starting 11th. And Josh Berry with a late race charge in Duel number 2 is 12th. John Nemechek started Duel 1 in 1st, and he'll start the Daytona 500 from 13th. Martin Truex Jr. in 14th and Denny Hamlin in 15th. Then a couple of WeatherTech cars, Zane Smith and Shane Van Gisbergen, followed by Christopher Bell in 18th and Kyle Busch in 19th. Ty Gibbs will start 20th, Eric Jones 21st. David Reagan, a prolific superspeedway racer, will start 22nd. Austin Dillon will start 23rd. Ross Chastain will start 24th, with Chris Buescher starting 25th. Then a couple of big hitters, Tyler Reddick in 26th and Ryan Blaney in 27th. Corey LaJoie in 28th, Austin Cindric 29th. Daniel Suarez got involved in that wreck. He will start 30th. Carson Hocevar 31st, Ryan Preece 32nd. Harrison Burton, rough start to Speedweeks for him. He'll start 33rd. Todd Gilliland 34th. Michael McDowell winds up in an accident. He starts 35th. Bubba Wallace going upside down the backstretch in Duel number 2. He starts 36th. Jimmy Johnson won this race twice. He starts 37th. And then a couple of Hendrick Motorsports drivers at the rear of the field, Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman, 38th and 39th. Well, that's going to do it, folks. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. A wild night, 2 races, and neither one of them disappointed. The exhibition event is done. The duels are done. There's just one event left to go here in Speedweeks, and that's the Daytona 500. It's up next, right here on the Gaming Life YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you don't miss when the next video drops. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. This is Nathan Lawson signing off for TGL TV. Good night from Virtual Daytona.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.